I just come back from Taiwan because I have a flight delay in Hong Kong for about 24 hours. So it's
Oh, yeah.
late
So
for
did you
me.
visit Hong Kong?
Yeah, I'm visiting Hong Kong. Don't you want to come to China? Or
Hmm?
you have planned go to China?
Oh, yes, I'm going to China this October. And actually, in China, there's a conference called there's a conference organized by China Agriculture Economic Review. I'm not sure how far is it from Indonesia to China. If it is not far, next time you should try the conference in
Yeah, sure.
October in China.
How the registration is still open or already closed?
Oh, this year it's already closed for
Ah,
submission, so you should try next year.
next
So
year.
probably,
So,
yeah, I will let you know next year, and
okay.
Novi, you and your HOD can go together.
Yeah, of course, Novi will come to join us in China, Professor.
And how long does it take from let me check from how long Indonesia to China? I think
I
it's
think
not very far.
6 to 8 hours.
Indonesia to China flights. Yeah, probably it's very close. How long does it take? Oh, 7 hours.
Yes, it's 7 hours. It's similar like to
Yeah.
Taiwan.
Yeah, so next time you can go. Probably it's much closer than Taiwan.
Okay, sure, Professor. How
Hmm.
about you when you wanna come to Indonesia?
Hmm?
When you wanna come to Indonesia?
It depends on when you are going to invite me.
Ah, it's depend on Novi, I think, Professor.
Depending on Novi. Novi is a
Yeah,
decision
Novi.
maker.
Yeah, decision maker. It's lovely girl.
Oh yeah, because I was thinking next time when I go to Indonesia, and if you go to rural areas for survey, I can go with you, so I can observe the rural areas in Indonesia.
Yeah, sure, it's great. We have a lot culture in Indonesia. The agriculture practice is different between one area and also another area. So we can go around Indonesia if you want
Yeah,
to
so are
come
you
here.
from rural areas or from city?
I'm from rural area, Professor.
Oh yeah, okay, great. I'm also from rural areas in China, from
Which
uh, it's
which
called
part?
Gansu province.
Ah, Gansu province. Yeah, I see. I
Do you
see
know?
on the map.
Oh, you see on the map, yeah.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, the famous food in my province is beef noodles.
Ah, beef noodle is great food, I think.
Hmm?
The beef noodle is great food. I like it.
Oh yeah, let me show you. I have a plan to learn how to make beef noodles this year
Really?
in
Really?
December. Yeah.
You wanna be a chef?
Huh?
You
Oh
want to
yeah.
be a chef?
Can you see? This is beef noodles.
Wow, it's delicious.
Oh yes, I'm planning to learn. Oh yeah, this one. This a typical one.
So you can cook also? Oh my God.
No, I'm planning to learn this year. And
Then,
I want to study in the cooking school with my friends.
yeah, it's great idea. I
Yeah.
think that will I can try your cook.
Yeah, let me try it first. Probably next time when I go to Indonesia, I can cook a few.
Okay. Do you prefer spicy food like what you can see in the picture? It's very hot, right?
No, it looks very hot. It has a lot of chili, but the chili is not hot actually. Yeah, it just smells good and it looks good. It's not hot at all.
Mm,
This is my plan in December. I want to go to attend the cooking school for 1 week.
okay, okay. Do
Yeah.
you also teach your son Chinese language later when he grow up
Oh
so that
yeah,
he will
definitely.
not
Uh,
forget?
when we are at home, my wife and I speak Chinese to my son. But when he's in nursery school, the teacher speaks English. The teacher is from India.
I see.
India style English.
India style English. Nice. Okay. All right. So it's not actually not only in I think in Indonesia also we have that kind of nursery school so that mother can be very very calm when they go to work. Most of my friend here also has a baby in University of Brawijaya. Even it has the center of childcare itself.
Oh, that's great because
Yeah.
University of Brawijaya is a good university and a big university.
Yeah, thank you.
I saw the picture online. It's very big.
Yes. I hope that one day you can come. But if you go here next week or the next 2 year, next year or the next 2 year, all you can meet is Dr. Sodik. So let's just meet maybe in the Netherlands or in Germany.
No, I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
I think
So when
I
are you
hope
going to Netherlands?
Yeah. Maybe if there is a conference, international conference, we can share each other so that.
Yeah. I mean, when do you go to study your PhD in Netherlands?
Maybe I will take the January or February 2024 under marketing and consumer behavior group research.
And how many years are you going to stay there? For 3 years?
No, because my professor said that because I'm not a graduate of European university, so I need to take 1 year at the college to have a go or non-go decision, and then after that plus 4 year for PhD. So it's about 5 years. Oh my god.
Oh,
I'm still
that's
thinking
a
whether
lot.
this is a good decision or not, or should I change university after that?
Yeah, I mean, if you work hard, definitely you can finish it within 3 years.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I used 3.5 years for my PhD.
Oh, really? Oh, he is
Yeah.
very smart, diligent, and studious. You are.
Yeah.
What is the trick for graduates not more than 4 years?
I think in Netherlands or in European education system, there's no minimum study years. So if you can finish within 2 years, you can still graduate it.
Oh, that's a good news for me.
Yeah, and a friend of mine studied his PhD in Germany, University of Hohenheim, and he used 1.5 years.
Really?
Oh yeah, he submitted his thesis 1.5 year later.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
everything is possible.
Thank you for that positive, influence. I am very excited in this morning because I meet you and Dr. Sati.
Oh, that's great.
That's
When
great.
do you come to university this morning?
I went to UB around 7 because I had morning class before I meet you, and then this is the second session of. We have 5 sessions in every day, started from 7, 8:30, 10:30, 1 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock, and then go home.
So when do you usually go to bed? When students usually go to bed? Because you start quite early.
Of course, we don't have to. I mean, we don't do nap like that. We just finish working around 5 in the afternoon. It means.
Yeah. When do you go to bed usually? Like 11 or 12?
Oh, I'm night owl, so sometimes around 11 or 12. So it means maybe you get up in the morning, then it's the time for me to go to bed at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and here the university starts at 9 o'clock.
Ah, okay. And finished at
4:30. No, normally from 8:30 to 4:30. Many people came at probably after 9.
all right. Yes. Last time when I met Professor Renwick, he told me about he gave me pictures about his house, children, wife. It seems like he likes to keep pets like cats and dogs.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's very interesting because cats and dogs are not get along very well. You know.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And here, they get along quite well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he told me that sometimes there is also natural disasters. So he wrote an article about supply chain management that he published in national online newspaper kind of
Yeah, it's called conversation. Yeah, it's
so
a social media
the social
platform.
media.
I published there twice.
Oh, you also becoming a journalist like him?
No, because in addition to academic journal articles, sometimes I'm not sure for conversation whether they have a platform for Indonesia. Let me check.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to check also.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can publish your idea.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, the conversation. Yes, I think we have also it's in Indonesia too.
Africa, Australia, Brazil, Canada. Oh, yes.
Yes.
So next time you try it here.
Okay. Okay.
Conversation. You just submit your idea and publish it here. Yeah,
Okay.
this is the most popular one in New Zealand. Oh, this is me.
Yeah, that is you.
Yeah, and I published 2 articles, and one article is about no, this one. I think I published 2, and one is about dairy farming. And oh no, not Indonesia. I should use Australia, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah, to check one in New Zealand, not in Indonesia. Oh, you say this is my publication.
Okay.
Here, why using more fertilizer and feed does not necessarily raise dairy farm profits, but increases climate harm. And another one is China's experience with mobile payments highlights the pros and cons of a cashless society.
Okay.
Yeah, you say.
Right. I
This
will
is
read
me.
it.
And Alan Rivik also published some, I think. Yeah, I mean, this is publication from Alan.
That one.
Did she mention this one or this one? Cheap food comes
The
with
first
other
one,
costs.
the climate extremes. So this is
Oh,
very interesting. I read that and it makes me to think about how you can live. I mean, even Alan told me that there was a time when there was an earthquake at the time. So yes.
oh yeah. And for example, for Sodic, you can summarize your findings from your
Research.
journal article. Yeah, from your research, and then publish it here to write something. And for my writing, I think I will link my research. You say here, our research on New Zealand's experience with something, suggests. Yeah. But our further research shows. So when you write such kind of item, you link your research in the writing.
Okay.
And the editor will add the picture. You just provide the contents. The editor will help you to edit it. So luckily you have it in Indonesia. So definitely you can try.
Can also try to write in Indonesia with Dr. Sodik.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And normally, after you log in, you register the account. Oh my God, I forgot my password. Oh, no.
You forgot your password.
Oh yeah, and after you log in, you can
We can write a draft.
write some idea.
Ah, okay.
So even when you are a PhD student, you can try this. Let me show you. Yeah. Not sure it's coming. Yeah, you can try. You sign in and find a place to put some idea. If the editor agrees with your idea and they say go ahead, please write, you can write. Otherwise, you cannot write it. If they do not like your idea. And normally for such kind of news, they expect 800 words. That's not too much. So you can also choose to collaborate with your
Writing something.
colleagues or friends to write something. Yeah. So try it afterward. Yeah. Let's start our lecture. You can try this.
Yeah.
Do I need to send you the website or you have it now?
I think I have it because last time Professor Renwick has sent me that one.
Yeah.
So
It's called the conversation. Yeah.
yeah, the conversation.
Luckily, you have a Indonesian part. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, this is because the student now is from has just finished from the first class, so they're late in begin the starting the lecturers, but I'm sure that they are very excited.
Yeah, I think I prepared too much today. I'm not sure whether I can finish it. If I cannot finish it, we can just stop.
Yes, it's okay. Then it's okay because you have provided us with the slides. So Dr. Sadiq and me will continue the discussion later with the slide. And overall, based on the first evaluation last time, that your explanation, according to our fellow lecturers, it is correct. It is suitable with our curriculum and yeah.
Oh yes, okay. Thank you so much.
Do you also teach this to your student?
Oh no, I'm mainly teaching general microeconomics courses.
Okay.
Yeah, here. I'm teaching master level and bachelor level courses, microeconomics, supply. Yeah, but a lot of supply and demand, but not too much for agriculture product marketing. Should we start now?
Okay, I think let me start our guest lecturing today. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Wang Lima, for uh, the opportunity to coming in this guest lecturing section, or we call it 3-in-1. Honorable, the head of Department of Socio-Economics, Dr. Fitria Dinariana, and also Honorable Dr. Wang Lima as the guest lecturer in this session. Today we have two lecturing sessions. Firstly, talking about the supply and elasticity of agricultural product. And the second section, we will discuss about the application of demand and also supply. Today we have, I think we have 2.5 hours because there is a little technical issue. Okay, without any further ado, let me invite Dr. Wang Linma to be the lecturer in this session in the first part. For Dr. Wang Linma, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sodiq, and thank you, Norve. Good morning, everyone. You're welcome to the lecture today. In today's lecture, we have two parts. The first part is about supply and elasticity of agricultural products. The part two is about application of demand and supply. We will talk about the market for agriculture products. The first part is the supply and elasticity of agriculture products. So the learning objectives of this part is three. The first one is to understand what is the supply and its determinants. The second objective is to understand the concept of price elasticity of supply and how to calculate it. The third part is to understand the factors affecting elasticity of supply. So, firstly, what is a supply? If a firm supplies a good or service, then the firm has the resources and the technology to produce it. Can profit from producing it, because for every firm or company, their goal is to maximize the profit. If they cannot profit from producing a good or service, they will stop doing it. Therefore, if a firm supplies a good or service, then the firm can profit. Can profit means to get profit from producing the good or service, and has made a definitely plan to produce and sell it. So here, resources and technology determine what it is possible to produce. Supply reflects a decision about which technologically feasible items to produce. For example, if you want to produce apples, you need land, you need labor, you need fertilizer, pesticides, and trees. These are technology. These are resources. You also need the technology. For example, the skills about how to produce it. The quantity supplied of a good or service is the amount that producers plan to sell during a given time period at a particular price. Now let's look at the law of supply. The law of supply states that other things remaining the same, the higher the price of a good, the greater is the quantity supplied. And the lower the price of a good, the smaller is the quantity supplied. Therefore, we can see that there is a positive relationship between the price of a good and the quantity supplied. There is a positive relationship between the price of a good and the quantity supplied. So recalling the law of demand, we can remember that there is a negative relationship between the price of a good and the quantity demanded. When the price of a good increases, consumers' demand for that good will decrease. So the law of supply results from the general tendency for the marginal cost of producing a good or service to increase as the quantity produced increases. So here, what is the marginal cost? Marginal means one more. Marginal cost means the cost used for producing one more unit of the good. Marginal cost refers to the cost occurred when producing one more unit of the good. Producers are willing to supply a good only if they can at least cover their marginal cost of production. So if the production cost of producing one more unit of the product is higher than the marginal cost. In this case, the producers will stop producing. The term refers to the entire relationship between the quantity supplied and the price of that good. So here we should pay attention to the entire relationship. Entire relation means the whole shape, the whole curve. The supply curve shows a relationship between the quantity supplied of a good and its price when all other influences on producer's plant sales remain the same. So we can see this is an example of the energy bar. So we can say when energy bar's price will increase, the quantity supplied of the energy bar will increase as well. So a rise in the price of an energy bar, other things remaining the same, brings an increase in the quantity supplied for the energy bar. From this figure, we can see clearly that there is a positive relationship between price of the energy bar and the quantity supplied for the energy bar. So the supply curve, the supply refers to the entire supply curve. Quantity supplied refers to a particular point on the supply curve. So now let's look at the minimum supply price. A supply curve is also a minimum supply price curve. As the quantity produced increases, the marginal cost increases. As the quantity produced increases, marginal cost increases. The lowest price at which someone is willing to sell additional unit rises. So the lowest price at which someone is willing to sell additional rises. So the lowest price is marginal cost. So the for the producers, they can only sell at lowest when the price is a marginal cost. They cannot accept even no price because if the price, if the cost is even higher, they cannot make money. Now let's look at a change in supply. So when some influence on selling plans other than the price of the good changes, there is a change in supply of that good. The quantity of the good that producers plan to sell change at each and every price. So there is a new supply curve. When supply increases, the supply curve shifts rightward. When supply decreases, the supply curve shifts leftward. So here, please paying attention to the point. So for the supply and the demand, we cannot say the supply curve shifts up or shifts down. We can only say the supply curve moves to the right side, moves to the left side, or shifts rightward or shifts leftward. So there are 6 main factors that change the supply of a good. The first one is the prices of factors of production factors. For example, in order to produce milk, we need milking cows, we need a fertilizer, we need a tractor, we need a labor. If the production factor, for example, the price of milking cows is increasing, the supply will decrease, and also the prices of related goods produced. The related goods includes substitute goods or complementary goods. And also the expected future prices. For example, if you are a banana producer, if you expect next year the price of a banana will increase, so next year definitely for the producer they will increase the production of a banana, and also the number of suppliers, and also the technology. Now let's look at them one by one. The first one is the prices of production factors. If the price of a production factor used to produce a good rises, the minimum price that a supplier is willing to accept for producing each quantity of that good rises. So in this case, so a rise in the price of a production factor decreases supply and shifts the supply curve leftward. So overall, we can see that if the production factor's price will increase, the supply will decrease. The second one is the prices of related goods produced. A substitute in production for a good is another good that can be produced using the same resources. For example, for a farmer, they can either produce banana or apple. The supply of a good increases if the price of a substitute production falls. And another type of related goods is called complements or complementary good. Goods are complements in production if they must be produced together. The supply of good increases if the price of a complement in production increases as well. So here, the typical example of the complements is a pen and ink. So for example, if the price, so we say pen and ink are complements. If we say if the price of a pen increases, the supply of the ink, if the price of a pen increases, the supply of the ink will increase. Expected future prices. If the expected future prices of a good rises, the supply of the good today decreases and the supply curve shifts leftward. Because if the expected future price increases, for producers, they will choose to produce. If the expected future price for a product will increase, for producers, they will supply less today, but choose to supply more in the future when the price increases. Therefore, if the expected future price of good increases, the supply of that good today will decrease and the supply curve shifts leftward. And also the number of suppliers. The larger the number of suppliers of a good, the greater is the supply of the good. An increase in the number of suppliers shifts the supply curve rightward. So, for example, previously we only have 2 farmers who are producing milk, and now we have 5 farmers are producing milk. So the number of milk suppliers increased by 3. So in this case, the supply of milk will also increase. The next one is the technology. Advances in technology create new products and lower the cost of producing existing products. So, for example, nowadays the electronic items become cheaper. And this is because of technology advancement. One of the reasons of reducing the price of the electronic items such as smartphone, and nowadays more and more people can afford smartphones. And this is because of technology advancement. Producers can produce more smartphones and the price becomes cheaper and more consumers can afford smartphones. So advances in technology increase supply and shifts the supply rightward. The last one is a state of nature. The state of nature includes all the natural forces that influence production. For example, the weather, the natural disasters, heavy rain. A natural disaster decreases the supply and shifts the supply curve leftward. And this figure shows an increase in supply, advance in the technology for producing energy bars increases the supply of energy bars and shifts the supply curve rightward. Because of technology advancement, the productivity of producing energy bars will increase. So in this case, the supply curve will shift rightward. That means the supply increases. A change in the quantity supplied versus a change in supply. This figure illustrates the distinction between a change in supply and a change in the quantity supplied. So when the price of the good changes, other influences on sales plans remain the same. The quantity supplied changes and there is a movement along the supply curve. Okay, so for example, if the price of a good increases from the black dot to this red dot, the prices increases, the quantity supplied will increase. If the price remains the same, but some other influence on sales plans changes, supply changes and the supply curve shifts. Okay, so we have discussed the 6 factors that influence the supply. When those factors will move the supply curve to the left side or right side. However, the price change can only affect the quantity supplied for that good. Now let's look at the price elasticity of supply. So do you have any questions so far about the supply and quantity supplied? Do you have any questions about the supply and quantity supplied? Yes or no? No. Do you have any questions about supply and the quantity supplied?
Not yet, sir. Clear.
All good? Okay, excellent. Do you have questions? No, everything is quite clear. No way is nothing because no one has a question. Andrew, do you have a question? No.
Not yet, sir.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so because I believe you have learned supply before, we just have a review here. And the next we will talk about the price elasticity of supply. Last week we have studied the price elasticity of demand. So when we're talking about demand, we're talking about consumers' behavior. Now let's talk about supply. So, when we are talking about supply, we're talking about producer behavior or farmer behavior. So the price elasticity of a supply is a measure of how much the quantity supplied of good responds to a change in the price of that good. So price elasticity of a supply captures the relationship between the price change of a good and the quantity supplied of that good. Okay, so price elasticity of supply is the percentage change in quantity supplied resulting from a percentage change in price. So when demand increases, is a change in the quantity supplied smaller or larger. So in this figure, we can say an increase in demand brings a large rise in price and a small increase in the quantity supplied. So here we can say for consumers demand, they increase from D0 to D1. And by increasing the consumer demand, the supply will also increase from 10 to 13. And for price of the product, it increases from 20 to 30. So this is another example. When demand increases, an increase in demand brings a small rise in price. The price increases from 20 to 21 in this example, and a large increase in the quantity supplied. The quantity supplied increases from 10 to 20. So clearly we can see the magnitude of the quantity increase is much larger than the magnitude of the price change. So the contrast between the two outcomes in figure 3 highlights the need for a measure of the responsiveness of the quantity supplied to a price change. So the elasticity of supply measures the responsiveness of the quantity supplied to a change in the price of a good when all other influences on selling plans remain the same. So how to calculate the elasticity of a supply? The elasticity of supply is calculated using this formula. percentage change in quantity supplied divided by percentage change in price. So this figure below will show the 3 cases of the elasticity of supply. Supply is perfectly inelastic if the supply curve is vertical and the elasticity of a supply is 0. And supply is unit elastic if the supply curve is linear and passes through the origin. And the supply is perfectly elastic if the supply curve is horizontal and the elasticity of a supply is infinite. So we will have a look later. So the first figure shows the perfectly inelastic supply. What does that mean? Perfectly inelastic supply. So that means no matter how price change, the supply does not change. So in this case, in the case of a perfectly inelastic, the elasticity, price elasticity of a supply is 0. So perfectly inelastic supply, no matter how price increase or decrease, the supply does not change. The second example is unit elastic supply. The third one is a perfectly elastic supply. Perfectly elastic supply means a small amount of change in price will lead to a big change in the supply. For example, for gold, a small price change for the gold will change the supply of the gold dramatically. So in the first example, the elasticity of supply is 0. In the second example, the elasticity of supply is 1. That means the percentage change in quantity supplied is similar to the percentage change in the price of the good. In the third example, the elasticity of supply is infinite. Let's further look at the perfectly inelastic supply. Supply equals 0. We can see an increase in price leaves the quantity supplied unchanged. Yeah, please wait for a moment. Let me turn on my fan. It's quite hot this afternoon here. Yeah, it's okay. I just turn on my fan. So otherwise it's too much hot for me. Okay, so here for the perfectly inelastic supply, we can say when the price increases from $4 to $5, the quantity supplied of the product is unchanged. So this is an inelastic supply. Elasticity is less than 1. Elasticity is less than 1 means that we can say for the price, increases from 4 to 5. It increases by 22%. So do you know how to calculate 22%? Here, we say a 22% increase in price.
I don't know, sir.
How can we calculate increase in price? Price changed from 4 to 5. Leads to an increase in the quantity demanded. Leads to a 10% increase in quantity supplied. And here it is 110 minus 100 divided by 100. And here I think the figure is not correct. It should be 5 minus 4 and divided by 4. That is 25%. Yeah. So here we can say that a 25% increase in price will lead to a 10% increase in quantity supplied. We can say the magnitude of price increase is higher than the magnitude of the quantity supplied. So in this case, we say the supply of this product is inelastic. So in which case it is elastic. Elastic means the the magnitude of price change is smaller than the quantity supplied. The magnitude of the quantity supplied. Now let's look at the unit elastic supply. Unit elastic supply means the elasticity of a supply equals to 1. Yeah, here it should be 25%. And in this example, the magnitudes of the price increase and the magnitudes of the this example. The magnitude of the price increase is equal to the quantity supplied, the magnitude in the quantity supplied. And this example is greater than 1. So we say the price elasticity of supply equals to the percentage in price change divided by the percentage change in quantity supplied. And here delta Q refers to the price change, and Q and Q prime refers to the Q prime refers to the original and final price divided by 2. And here delta P is Q is the quantity supplied, and Q plus Q prime is the original quantity and the final quantity divided by 2. And delta P is the price change, and P plus prime refers to the original and final price divided by 2. So this is perfectly elastic. This is perfectly inelastic. And the third one is unit inelastic. Yeah, we say if the firm is able to increase supply quickly in response to a change in price, the supply is said to be price elastic in supply. That means if the magnitude of the supply is larger than the magnitude of the price change. And we say if the firm is unable to increase supply quickly in response to a change in supply, then supply is said to be price inelastic. So that means if the magnitude in supply change is smaller than the magnitude in price change, the elasticity of a supply depends on resource substitution possibilities and time frame for supply decision. So what does the resource substitution possibilities mean? We say if the easier it is to substitute among the resources used to produce a good or service, the greater is its elasticity of supply. The easier it is to substitute among the resources used to produce a good or service, the greater is its elasticity of supply, depending on the how easy it is to substitute of the production factors used to produce a product. The second factors influencing the elasticity of supply is the time time frame for supply decision. The more time that passes after a price change, the greater is the elasticity of the supply. So monetary supply is perfectly inelastic. The quantity supplied immediately following a price change is constant. So in the short run supply is somewhat elastic. However, the long run supply is the most elastic. So here, it's about the applications of supply and demand and elasticity. So can good news for farming be bad news for farmers? What happened to wheat farmers and the market for wheat when university agronomists discover a new wheat hybrid that is more productive than existing varieties? So examine whether the supply or demand curve shifts and determine the direction of the shift of the curve and use the supply and demand diagram to see how the market equilibrium changes. So this is a demand curve for wheat, and this is a supply curve for wheat. And this is a market equilibrium. At the market equilibrium, the price of the wheat is $3, and the quantity supplied or demanded for the wheat is 100. So when demand is inelastic, increase in supply will shift the supply curve to the right side and leads to a large fall in price. So we can see when supply increases, the price of the product will decrease. And a proportionately smaller increase in quantity sold. As a result, the revenue falls from 300 to 220. So originally, the price is 3. The quantity demanded and the quantity supplied at the market equilibrium is 100. So the total revenue equals to 3 times 100, which is 300. And then, because of the supply increases, the price of the product decreases from 3 to 2. We can say, although the quantity supplied increases with the reducing price, the total revenue decreases from 300 to 222. That is 2 times 110. So we say in most markets, supply is more elastic in the long run. And the price elasticity of a supply is calculated as the percentage change in quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in price. The truth of supply and demand can be applied in many different types of markets, including the agriculture markets. Now let's move to the part 2. In this part, let me see, when should we have a break?
I think
Should we
before
have a break?
move to the second part, do you need a break, or we need to discuss with our student? I think our student have some question for the first part.
Oh yeah,
It's
sure.
okay. Okay, okay. For uh, oh, if there are any question, you can raise your hand or directly open your cam and also turn on your microphone, please.
Udah. Di sana daftar dulu deh. Nice to meet you again, sir. I want to ask about elasticity. Can the elasticity of an item change? For example, maybe an item that is perfectly inelastic becomes elastic. Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry. I have a call from my son's school. Probably it's an urgent one. Oh, sorry, I'm back. And my son got sick from the nursery school. The teacher just called me and asked me to bring him home. And I asked a friend of mine to pick him up from the nursery school.
Get well soon for your son. Is he sick?
Oh yeah, he's sick because here when the children are sick, they will ask the parents to bring the children home immediately within 30 minutes. So I just called a friend and asked him to bring my son home.
Okay.
So we can continue for another 2 hours. Yes. Okay. So
Right.
sorry,
Thank
could
you.
you
I
please
hope everything
repeat
is
your
okay.
question?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask about the elasticity. Can the elasticity of an item change? For example, an item that is perfectly inelastic becomes elastic. Thank you.
The item becomes from inelastic to elastic.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Sometimes for some items the elasticity may change because consumers' demand is also changing. So for example, for some products, previously the elastic is less than 1. When the elasticity is less between 0 and 1, we say the price elasticity of supply of this product is inelastic when the elasticity is between 0 and 1. And if the in the case if the consumer's demand for that product increases, the supply will increase as well. When the supply, the magnitude in supply change or in supply increase is higher than the price change of that product, the product will become from inelastic to elastic. So it depends on the value of the elasticity. When the item is inelastic, the elasticity is between 0 and 1. And when it becomes higher than 1, it becomes elastic. So do you have any other questions?
Any other
Can you
questions?
give us the example, please, about these chains, maybe?
Give an example. Yeah, which kind of example I can give? So for example, for orange, and previously the elastic is 0.5, and now the supply of the supply of the orange increases probably by 60%. However, the price of the orange only increases by 20%. In this case, we can say the price elasticity of a supply for orange is higher than 1. So the orange becomes from inelastic to elastic. I'm not sure whether this is clear now to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for
Okay,
your
thank you.
explanation.
So
Yeah.
it always depends on the magnitudes of the change in supply and the magnitudes of the change in price.
Yeah, I think
right.
For the question, we can discuss another question in our class because the time is limited. For Dr. Wang Lima, do you need a break or we can continue to the next part?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you need break or we can directly continue?
Andrew
No.
Dewiki Ramadahan is the correct pronunciation?
It's great. It's a little bit.
How do you
Ye-
pronounce his name?
Yes, sir.
well,
Yeah, how do you pronounce your name? Andrew Dewiki Ramandahan.
Andra.
Yeah, how do you pronounce your name in
Andra.
Indonesian language?
Just call me Andra.
Andra.
yeah, it's Andra Dwiki Ramadan. Me.
Oh, yeah, so difficult. Yeah. Yeah, Norway and Zodiac is quite easy.
It's Japanese name.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have no further question, we will have a few minutes break and we will come back in 7 minutes.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Professor.
okay, thank you. Yes, I'm back. My friend is not allowed to pick up my son, and I have to go to the nursery school to take him out.
Yeah, it's okay. It's already take your son
Yeah.
from the school.
Okay. Yeah, great. Let's continue with the part 2. So in the part 2, we still have 3 objectives. The first one is to understand the agriculture market, value chain, and the key actors in the market and in the value chain. The second objective is to understand the factors that cause food prices to change. And the last one is to understand different types of price controls. For example, price ceiling or price floor or base price. So marketing is the process of identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customer requirements profitably. That is, we should provide customers with the right product at the right price, with the right price at the right place, and with the right price, and at the right time. So agriculture marketing is a set of business activities that are performed in the flow of products from the beginning of agricultural production into the hands of the consumers. That is from farm to the table, or we say from the production to consumption. So what is the agriculture marketing elements? There are different elements. For the first one is the customer. And the second one is the factors that can be controlled, known as marketing mix, product, price, place, and promotion. This is the 4P. And also environmental factors which cannot be controlled are political, economical, and logical and technical factors that also influence the agriculture marketing. So here, when we are talking about environmental factors, we do not mean to the environment. We mean to the social environment context. So for the socio-economic context environment, it refers to the political, economic, and logical and technological factors, and all activities and services from the farmer to the consumers. And also the production planning, growing, and harvesting. So for producers, they need to plan what they should produce, when they should produce, and who they will sell the products to, and the growing and harvesting plan, and cleaning, grading, and packaging, and storage, and transport, distribution, advertising, and sales. These are elements involved in the agriculture marketing. So here, as I said, we have for the marketing mix, we have a 4P, a set of strategies that a company or a farm organization uses to promote its product in a particular market. And that is made up of the so-called 4Ps of marketing. That is the product, price, place, and promotion. What price they should sell their product, which place they should sell, and which kind of product they should produce and sell, and what strategies they should use to promote the sales. So a marketing plan, a marketing plan is a document that outlines the current market position of a company, as well as the activities involved in meeting specific marketing objectives for a particular period, for example, for 1 year. And the marketing plan helps farmers to understand which products are in demand and will provide a profit. This is depending on what to plant or produce and when to produce. And how to produce a crop, to whom to sell the harvested crop. And the group of consumers or farmer organizations that is interested in the particular product. If the farmers have, if the consumers have no interest in the produced product, they may not produce and have the resources to buy the product and is allowed by regulations and or legislation to buy the product. So what is agriculture market? Agriculture market is a group of consumers and organizations that is interested in the particular agriculture product and has resources to buy it and is legally allowed to buy the product. So for the products that producers sell or the product that consumers trying to buy, they should be legal. They should be legally allowed to buy or sell the products. So in order for a market to exist, the following components have to be present: a product that can be bought and sold, and we must have buyers and sellers, and a business relationship between buyers and sellers, and also a particular area, for example, a region or a country, to make the transaction happen. Now let's look at the differences between agriculture market and market of manufactured goods. So the agriculture products are perishable. What does that mean for perishable? Perishable means it's easy to be rotted. It cannot be kept for a very long time. And agriculture products are produced and supplied irregularly or seasonally. So we can only sell the agriculture products in some specific season. And for some products, agriculture products, they cannot be produced the whole year round. And most agriculture products are bulky. Bulky means usually they will produce lots of agriculture products. Therefore, storage and transportation are very expensive. And there is a large degree in variation in the quality of agriculture products. And agriculture products require processing. So agriculture market is different from the market of manufactured goods. For manufactured goods, they can be sold the whole year round. But for the agriculture products, they are perishable and they are very expensive to be stored. Now let's look at the agriculture value chain. So the goods and services, services and processes involved in the agriculture product moving from the farm to the final consumer. So at the agriculture value chain, we have different activities, for example, input supply and farm production. For farmers, in order to produce agricultural products, we need input. So I have a question here for you. We say in order to produce a product, we need supply. So in the agriculture value chain, it involves input supply and farm production. So what is the typical crop in Indonesia? Andrew. So what is the typical crop produced in Indonesia?
Rice.
Rice. Okay, so here, taking rice production as an example, what kind of inputs do we need to support rice production? What kinds of inputs do we need?
Fertilizer and pesticides.
Fertilizer, pesticides, and anything else?
And seeds.
Seeds, yes. And anything else?
Labor, manpower.
Yeah, excellent. Labor, machine, land. Yeah. And for farmers, when they buy inputs from input suppliers, they have to pay. Okay, so when we are talking about the value chain, we are talking about the movement of the money across the supply chain. So when we are talking about the supply chain, we are talking about the supply of the good, the movement of the good, the movement of good from one actor to another actor. When we are talking about the value chain, we are talking about the movement of the money. Okay, so here for the input supply, for farm production, farmers have to buy inputs from input suppliers. And then after the product is produced, they need harvest handling and processing. And then they need the technologies of production and handling and grading criteria and facilities. That means we need to classify rice into different labels, and also cooling and packaging technologies, storage and transport for farmers. If they cannot sell their products at the same time, for grain such as rice, maize, wheat, they can save at home in dry places for 2 or 3 years. But for some perishable agricultural products, for example, vegetables and fruits, they cannot be, if they cannot be sold in a short time, farmers have to save them or store them in the storage. So this will increase the cost. And also industry processing. Industry processing means, for example, for the rice, they use rice to produce other types of food. And finance, for example, for producers or processing companies, if they have not enough money, if they are facing capital constraint, they need to get a loan from the financial institutes to support their processing or production. And finally, they sell the products to the market. So what is the market supply? Market supply is the quantity or amount of a product that producers can offer to the market for sale, such as maize, potatoes, tomatoes, eggs, and so on. I think Indonesia produces lots of potatoes. Indonesia is a major potato producing country. China is the same. China also produces lots of potatoes, and we use potatoes to make noodles, potato noodles. Yeah, potato noodle is my favorite. I like all kinds of food. That's why I'm getting more and more weight. That's not a good thing. So the supply of a product depends partly on its price and on local conditions. So we see if the price of the good is high, the supply will increase. And also we say the supply of a product depends on price and also local conditions. For example, if Sodiq is a farmer who is producing potato in hilly and mountainous areas, the transportation is not good. I mean, for buyers, it's very hard to travel to that place. So in this case, the supply of the potato in Sodiq's area will be lower because no buyers, and the buyers cannot get go to those places, and the transportation costs are very high. So we say the supply of a product depends partly on its price and on local conditions. And the local conditions also, here I just mentioned poor roads and transport vehicles. If the roads are very poor for buyers, they cannot go there by car. They can only walk there. So in this case, they will choose not to buy potato from those areas. And the local conditions and product supply, rainfall, drought, and access to water. If a place is rich in rainfall and have a few drought, and they can access to water, definitely they can produce more. And farmers can specialize in their production. In this case, buyers are likely to go there to buy the product, and the pest and disease will also influence the supply. Pest, if there occurrence of a serious pest and disease in potato production, the potato supply in that particular year will be reduced, and availability of fertilizer and seeds. So when I do research, I found a very interesting thing. So for example, in China, when scholars mention fertilizer, they usually mention the fertilizer expenditure. And in the study from African countries, they usually use the dummy variable to measure fertilizer. 1 if used, 0 if no. So why? Because I talked with someone in African countries, because fertilizers and pesticides are very expensive in those places. Not every farmers can use fertilizer. That's why in research study, scholars are usually using the dummy variable to measure fertilizer or pesticides, whether you have used the fertilizer or pesticides in your production. If 1 if yes, 0 if no. But in China, almost all farmers are using pesticides and fertilizers at different levels. Some people use more, some people use less. And also in China, fertilizers and pesticides are measured in different ways. For example, for fertilizer, we have a solid fertilizer, we have a liquid fertilizer. So it's hard to measure fertilizer in quantity. So for pesticides, we have a liquid pesticides, we have a pound pesticides. So it's very hard to use the quantity to measure fertilizer or pesticides. That's why if we read the literature from China, we can see Chinese scholars like to use fertilizer expenditure or pesticide expenditure. But in African countries, scholars like to use dummy variable to measure fertilizer and pesticides. So the production is also influenced by the availability of fertilizer and seeds, and also poor roads and transport vehicles. For example, if for a farmer, if there is no good road from their village to their farm, it's very hard to transport the production inputs into their land. In this case, the production will also be influenced negatively, and also poor farmer health and nutrition will also affect the product supply. So because for a household, if a man labor's health condition is not good, if the household is poor, definitely they cannot provide with adequate labor to support production. It will also negatively affect the product supply. And the pregnancy and child rearing and women farmers. And in developing countries, it's very common for men to migrate to other places or cities to earn money, because cities usually have better job opportunities. And they usually leave the women and old people at home to look after the farm production. So pregnancy and child raising for women farmers will also influence the production negatively, which will reduce the supply of a product. The market demand, the amount of the product that customers are willing and able to buy, which partly depends on the price. So firstly, for consumers, when they buy something, they have a willingness to buy, and also they can afford it. That is your demand. So for any product, for any demand, consumers have to have a willingness. For consumers, they are willing to buy it and they can afford it. If you just you're just willing to buy it, but you have no money to buy it, that not influence the demand. So if the price is low, more people will want to buy, and each person may want to buy more of the product. If the price goes up, few people want to buy, and each person will probably buy a small amount. So for factors affecting demand includes, for example, for staple foods or major consumers generally want to buy more staple foods or major vegetables because they are cheaper, and also high quality products and fresh products. So for example, when you go to supermarkets, you will check the freshness of the fruits before you decide to buy it, and also scare items that first fruits in the season. Now let's look at the relationship between supply and demand. To understanding supply and demand helps farmers to plan crops, what, when, and where, grow a more expensive crop variety to be sold for more money, and grow a more nutritious food. and determine best time to sell their crop. So do you have a kiwi fruit in Indonesia? Do you grow kiwi fruit? Kiwi fruit. Do you know what is
Yes, there is.
kiwi? I'm not sure whether Indonesia can produce kiwi fruit. Let me show you what is a kiwi fruit. Yeah. Do you grow kiwi fruit?
I think it's
So in New Zealand, we only have the green kiwi fruit, and this is the golden kiwi fruit. This is the golden kiwi fruit. And in China, we have 3 types: red, gold, and green. In New Zealand, we only have a green and gold. So do you grow kiwi fruit in Indonesia? No.
No, I think we haven't found the kiwi fruit planting in Indonesia.
Yeah. Okay. So for farmers, they grow a more nutritious crop. So for example, for kiwi fruit, it is full of nutritions. So consumers love them. That's why the producers, they also like to grow more. And also the increased crop quantity for higher selling price. For farmers, they always like higher price and higher productivity. For producers, they always like higher prices and higher yield. For consumers, they always like lower price and higher quality. So now let's look at the different types of agriculture markets. So usually we have informal markets and formal markets. So markets that exist beyond the tax system and that are therefore off record. And formal market means all the business enterprises and economic activities in the agriculture and food sectors that are structured, monitored, and protected by government and internationally recognized standards. And informal agriculture markets support all types of products produced by smallholder farmers and have no formal grade and no traceability system. So like sport market, do you know sport market? So in rural areas, we have a carol market for transactions. So that's the informal market. And rarely use a standard measure. And the city price based on local supply and demand conditions. And offer few barriers to entry. And are attractive to smallholder farmers as they generally get paid in cash on delivery and have a few in any rules and regulations. So the informal agriculture market times, for example, the farm gate. So for example, in some cases, the buyer go to a farmer's farm, they buy products from the farm gate directly or in the road. And roadside sales, village markets. So for example, in some rural areas, they produce apples. So in Indonesia, definitely you produce apples. So for some buyers, they go to the village and buy apples directly from the farmers. That is called a village market. That is just, we still call it markets, but it's just informal. And the rural assembly markets and sales within the main urban wholesaler and retail markets. Now let's look at those markets one by one. Farm gate markets. These are informal markets in which sales occur when farmers sell their products directly from the farm to neighbors or traders or buyers. What is the informal assembly markets? Farmers and small local traders regularly coming together to sell their goods to larger traders. Farmers and small local traders regularly coming together to sell their goods to large traders. The buyer in assembly markets are traders, not customers. So they sell they buy the products from the producers and then resell to other prices rather than to consume them directly. Informal wholesale markets, markets where traders and some farmers deliver produce in bulk, are generally found on the outskirts of large towns and cities. And retailers come to this market to buy bulk goods. Bulk means a lot. Now let's look at the informal retail market. Markets where consumers and small businesses buy their daily or weekly supplies of food. And it is possible for farmers to sell in bulk directly to retail markets. To do so, they must work out a system with the retailer. Wholesalers may try to prevent farmers from selling directly to retailers. And now let's look at the formal agriculture market. And formal agriculture markets offer more consistent pricing methods and extended seasoning buying, and higher competitive and have strict quality standards, and meet all levels of food safety regulations, and invest in ICT, information and communication technology, and record and share information on prices and volumes, and invest in storage systems, and monitor sanitation through the market system. So overall, we can say in formal agriculture markets, everything has been recorded, and in informal markets, everything is not recorded. So there are 5 types of formal agriculture markets. For example, supermarkets, food processing markets, hotels, and restaurants. They are still formal markets, and feed markets, and export markets. Supermarkets enable consumers to buy a large variety of different types of goods at the same time. The food is attractively packaged and of good quality. And farmers can sell directly to supermarkets if they meet volume and quality requirements. Fresh produce in a supermarket. Next one is food processing markets. As countries urbanize and incomes rise, consumer food habits change towards more processed and packaged foods. In the food and beverage industries, processors offer farmers and traders new markets and the prospect for long-term stable business relationships. So this is an example of a food processing factory. In New Zealand, there is a very good dairy processing factory called Fonterra. And this is hotels and restaurants. Hotels and restaurants provide themselves on serving customers with food made with fresh, high quality produce. Chefs often work directly with farmers or with reliable suppliers of high quality produce. Produce means products. This is a high quality food served in restaurants, beef. And feed markets. In the urbanized countries, consumers' diets include increasing consumption of meat and milk products, which creates a growing demand for animal feed products, thereby driving another new market opportunity for farmers. So when farmers raise livestock, they need to buy feed for their livestock. That pushes the development of the feed markets. So, for example, in New Zealand, have you heard about a form name called palm kernel extract? Do you know what is a palm kernel extract? This one, PKE. So in New Zealand, dairy farmers imported lots of PKE from Indonesia. So this pushes the development of PKE market in Indonesia. The last one is the export markets. Export markets involve goods being produced in one location or country and being sold and consumed in another country. Export trade traditionally included a mix of food and fiber products. For example, coffee, cocoa, tea, cotton, and also tropical fruits and nuts. The next one, we look at the actors in value chain levels. Core value chain actors, business development services, and also level 3 is the regulatory agencies. So now let's look at the value chain levels. The highest level is the policies and standards, for example, the government interventions or regulations. And the cold chain actors, they are farmers, collector, processor, wholesaler, retailer, and consumer. Collector buy goods from farmers and sell them to processors. And processors sell them to wholesalers. Wholesalers sell them to retailer, and finally selling them to consumers. They are main chain actors. And also business development services, for example, input suppliers for farmers in order to buy produce, they need to buy inputs. So these actors support the cold chain actors. So people and organizations that support the production, supply, and marketing of goods without owning the product involved operate on the second level in the value chain and include market access support, infrastructure, and technology support, input suppliers, and finance. key business development service providers. They include the input suppliers. We have discussed the input suppliers before. In order to support production, we need inputs. For example, in order to produce rice, we need fertilizers, pesticides, labor, machines, land, and communication services. In order to communicate with the buyers, and training and agriculture advisory service can help farmers to can help farmers can train farmers how to produce. And market information services. In some countries, they have the market information services to link farmers with producers, and financial services. For example, they provide a loan to farmers to support their production, and research support. For single service providers, this includes, for example, fertilizer suppliers, seed makers, millers, and transport. They provide different services, and also financial service providers, savings and loans groups, savings and credit cooperatives, and microfinance institutions. They provide a small amount of loans with farmers. And the general service providers, for example, input supply in general, and market intelligence, market brokerage, and farmer organizations. Now let's look at the key regulators in the market. So the actors or role players and agencies on level 3 in the value chain that set formal and informal policies, standards, and legal regulations that govern the way in which the core actors and business services providers conduct their business and deliver their products or services. The organizations involved in food quality handling, processing, and distribution. For example, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, or United States Department of Agriculture or National Food Laboratories. They are managing the quality of the food. So in different countries, they have different regulatory departments. Now let's look at the food safety issue. So for example, foodborne illness and food contaminants. Food contaminants mainly from pesticide residue and pesticide exposure. Inspection of domestic products, imports and exports, conducting risk assessment, and educating the public about the importance of food safety. These strategies are used to regulate the food safety issues. So which kind of marketing strategies and approaches are used for the product? The first one is optimistic market sales. The second one is informal sales arrangements. The third one is contract farming and marketing. The third one is vertical integration. The next one is the certification schemes, inclusive business models for sustainable trading relationships, and shifting from production to market chain approaches. So what is a market chain? A market chain is a set of linkages between actors with a low binding or sought after formal or informal relationships. Supply chain is a market chain that supplies a particular customer meeting their particular product specifications and procedures. And the value chain is a specific type of a supply chain in which actors support one another so that they can increase their overall efficiency and competitiveness. So in the supply chain and value chain, the actors involved in the supply chains need to work tightly to create values. Now let's look at the traditional value chain and supply chain and a value chain. So we can see we have the suppliers, research and development, and finance to support inputs. Inputs are used by farmers to produce goods, and the goods are sold to processors and manufacturers, and the processors and manufacturers further resell their products to retailers and exporters, and finally comes to consumers. And then, so the first figure shows the supply chain. So what is a value chain? As I mentioned previously, value means money. So for example, the consumers pay money to retailers and exporters. And then retailers and exporters pay money to processors and manufacturers. And this actor pays money to farmers, and the farmers pay money to input suppliers. So for the supply chain, it comes from inputs to consumers. For the value chain, it comes from consumers to input suppliers. So for the value chain, they need to target products and locations for development. And they analyze the market and select partners because they need to select appropriate partners to maximize their benefit and identify and organize farmers and prioritize investments along the chain and provide farm level and chain actor support and business development services and financial services, policy review and analysis, and chain-wide support. This is the key steps involved in value chain approach. So they focus on end markets and the levels in the value chain and the power dynamics and the governance and quality relationships between actors in the value chain. So actors in the value chain are also the actors in the supply chain. So for the supply chain, it goes from the input suppliers to consumers direction. For value chain, it comes from the consumers to the input suppliers because consumers pay money to the retailers. So it comes to the opposite direction. So for the new approaches should consider the profile of a farmer farmers in terms of will the next generation of farmers be younger than the current average of 55 years? And will they be better educated? Will more farms be fully operated by women when the men migrate to urban jobs? And will farm sizes continue to reduce, or will there be a new type of rural investor who starts to collect land to improve the economics of scale for farm lots? So in the new approach of considering value chains, and these questions should not be ignored. What is the market analysis? Market analysis is the study of the demand and supply characteristics and actors for a product or a sub-sector within a defined geographic area. So which kind of information should be considered in the market analysis? So for example, we need to consider market size, market demand, and the growth rate, and the market locations and the market flows. And also key actors in the market, trends in the market, whether the market demand is increasing or decreasing. And also product grades, prices, volumes, and quality. And distributional channel, how to sell their products. And in investment levels and cost infrastructure. The key interest areas include the demand analysis, that is growth, trends, potential, and the supply analysis, that is actors, margins, and bottlenecks. The major challenges and opportunities should also be considered. So for example, technology, organization, services, and government policies. Realistic business opportunities, that is maturity of the market and client focus. So you can look at these factors by yourself, like sector analysis, sub-sector analysis, and territorial analysis. Which one they are focusing on. And the value chain focuses on a set of specific actors who are producing, buying, and selling a specific product, and targeting identified set of end markets. For example, community market focuses on the particular set of markets that are typically close to the producers. And now let's look at the food prices and the trends. So what can cause food prices to change? So here we are talking about general food. So you can link it to agriculture markets. Here we are talking about the general food. You can link the knowledge you have learned to the general agriculture markets. So what can cause food prices to change? Discuss your thoughts with the person next to you. What can cause food prices to change? So what factors will change the price of the food? Andrew. So what can cause food prices to change?
Transportation and value added.
What can cause the food prices to change? So here we say food prices can and do change throughout the year and over time. This may be due to a variety of reasons, including climate and weather patterns. So here I will give example. In 2023, during rice production, if there is a drought, what will happen to the rice price next year? Did you get my point? For example, in rice production in 2023, farmers are facing drought issues. So what will happen to the rice price in 2024? No idea. Full chart. Do you have an idea?
Can you repeat the question, please, sir? Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So here we are talking about factors that influence the change in food price. So here I emphasize that in this example, we are talking about the general food. You can link the knowledge to other agriculture products or other food. My question is, there is a drought. Do you know drought? D-R-O-U-G-H-T. There is a drought in rice production in 2023. How this will influence the rice price in 2024? So drought is a climate
Andra,
issue.
you want to answer? Andra, maybe?
Andra, yeah.
Yes.
I think the price gonna be skyrocket.
Price will
Sky
reduce,
increase, yeah.
increase. Yeah, why? Could you please explain to us?
Because the supply is decreased.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so here, because of the weather condition, drought is a weather issue or climate issue. Because farmers suffered from a drought issue in rice production in 2023, the supply of rice will decrease next year. The decrease in supply will increase the price of the rice. Brilliant, very good. And also crop failure. Here, crop failure means the reduce in crop yields and crop disease, for example, pests, pests and other disease issues, seasonalness and consumer demand, and agriculture costs increase and the fuel price go up. Why do we need to mention fuel price here? So for example, when you in agriculture production, we need machines. Machines needs fuels. So if the fuel price increase, the supply will decrease. And then the price of a product will increase. Okay, so apart from rice, which kind of crop do you produce in Indonesia? Except for rice, which kind of fruits or grains do you produce in Indonesia?
We have okay, students need to answer, yeah. Okay.
Oh
please,
yeah,
please,
student
go, go.
this answer.
Students,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Let's
need
okay.
to answer first, and then I can ask other questions.
Maybe we have
Tomato,
yeah, we have chili,
Chili.
tomatoes,
Oh
onions.
yeah, chili potato. Yeah, okay, so let's use the chili as an example. So if no, I'm continuing to asking you the question, April frost. April frost. Yeah. Am I correct? Am I correct to pronounce your name?
Yeah, you can call me Frost.
April.
Frost.
Oh, April frost.
Yes, sir. You can just call me
April frost. Okay, yes, April. I have a question for you. In 2023, the labor cost of producing chili has increased. So for example, farmers cannot produce chili using their own labor, farming labor. They have to hire labor to support chili production. If the labor cost has increased, what will farmers do first? So if the labor cost increases, will farmers produce more chili or less chili?
Farmers will produce less chili.
Produce what?
Less chili.
Oh yes, less. Okay, so because labor is one of the production factor, the increase in labor price will increase the production costs. So in this case, the chili production will be reduced. Okay, so in this context, how will this influence the price of chili in the market? So please link the production to the market. The increase in labor cost will decrease or increase the chili supply, and how will it influence the price of chili in the market?
Oh, okay, because the labor cost is increased, which the supply of chili will reduce, so the price of chili in the market will be increased.
Yeah, very good. So this is the yeah, very good, brilliant. So we say the agriculture costs increase will increase the price of the product in the market because the supply will reduce. Okay, so very good. So different factors will cause food price to change. So when we're talking about food here, do not only link it to the food you can buy from the restaurant or from university university canteen. Please relate it to different types of agriculture products or other food. So there are several factors which can cause food price to change. The first one is climate and weather patterns. So we just discussed this using the drought as an example. The second one is crop failure. Crop failure can have a significant impact on farmers, the consumer, and the economy. It can affect the farmer's income, reduce the amount of food available, and potentially negatively affect the economy of a country. Crop failure can be caused by a number of factors: adverse climate conditions, for example, drought. Yeah, Sodic has done lots of research on climate change. Yeah, so he knows how climate change will affect agriculture production, and the unpredictable weather conditions. So for example, during the harvest season, we don't need rain, but it rains a lot. It will influence the yield. And the pests and disease, and also poor farming practices. So for example, in some land, farmers use too much fertilizer, which will reduce the fertility of the land. The next one is seasonality. Buying and eating food that is in season means that it is fresh and has a best flavor, texture, and color, and has a optimal nutritional value. So seasonal food is readily available, which usually means it is cheaper to buy. And if the food has been grown or reared locally, traveling and storage costs are reduced. That's why the imported food is much more expensive than the locally produced food. So which kind of fruit do you produce in Indonesia? Balana.
Apple,
Apple. And anything else?
mango, and we have salad, rambutan,
Oh, you also produce mango.
durian.
Oh, that's great. Mango's price is very expensive in New Zealand. And I couldn't eat mango in a year. Probably I eat mango once a year because I cannot afford the price. So for the because this country cannot produce mango, it has to import mango from other countries. That's why the price is higher. And consumer demand, and prices can fluctuate depending on demand for food, ingredient, or piece of equipment. Seasonality and special occasions such as consumer barbecues and Mother's Day can influence the price of goods. For example, sausage and burgers are often cheaper in the summer to encourage consumers to buy them for barbecues. But flowers are more expensive, leading up to Mother's Day. But for in Indonesia, because you do not have winter, you can do barbecue every month. And in New Zealand, in New Zealand and China, we have a very cold winter, and no one wants to go to the yard to do the barbecue. So we only have the barbecue in summer. So agriculture costs. So I use the labor cost as an example. For others, for example, farm machinery, farm workers, fertilizers and sprays, livestock feed, livestock sheets, housing, seeds, and weights expenses. This will also affect the supply of a product, which will finally influence the price of the product. So which level is the class from? So which are the students attending the class are master level or bachelor level? I saw they are very, very, very young. So Dick.
Oh, it's from bachelor degree.
Huh?
It's from bachelor degree.
From bachelor degree.
Yes.
Which year?
Second
It's
year.
from for second year.
Oh, they're second year students. That's why I saw them quite young. They still look like high school students from their face, but definitely they are more bright in brain than school students. And also increase in oil and energy prices. As I mentioned that for farm production, they need machines. Machines need the oils. If the oil and energy prices increase, which will also increase the price of the final product. And biofuels. Biofuels are any kind of fuel made from living organisms or from the waste they produce. They increase the use of food such as coarse grains and vegetables oil in the biofuel industry can result in food price rising. So all kinds of price increases related to production factors will reduce the supply of a product, which will increase the price of that product. There are many consequences if food price rise. If people cannot afford the increased price of food, they may eat less food or switch to lower quality, cheaper foods. So these are consequences of food price. So Putra or Putri, I have a question for you. Putri,
Yes, sir.
Ram. Oh, it's very hard for me to pronounce. I should stay in Indonesia for 1 month to practice how to pronounce those names. So how should I call you? Putra or Putri?
The right is Putra, sir.
Oh,
Putri is
Putra.
for a woman.
Oh, Putra is for man. Putri is
Yes.
for woman. So Putra. Okay, so do you think the rising price for food is a good thing or a bad thing? Why? Do you think the rising price for food is good or bad? Why?
I think the increasing of prices is depend on where you see it in
yeah.
the
I mean, for the increase in the okay, so let's say the price of the price of fruits, the prices of fruits have been increasing over time. Is this good or bad? Why?
For the consumer, I think that's a bad news. But for a producer, I think they will be happy.
Oh yeah, for producers they are happy, for consumers they are bad. I mean, at the national level, for all for the social development is good or bad. From the social development perspective, is it good or bad? Why? No idea.
I think that's a bad idea.
Is
the
it
increasing
bad
of
or good?
prices.
Bad. Bad or good?
Yes.
It's bad or good?
It's better.
Why?
I think if the prices is increasing, there will be less people that can afford it. So as the slide said, the people will be eat less food or switch to lower quality and cheaper foods.
Yeah, very good. From the social development perspective, it's a bad thing, because, for example, in your University of Brawijaya, previously, 80% students can afford all kinds of fruits they want to eat. And now, because of rising prices of fruits, only 40% of students can afford all kinds of fruits that were sold in the university shop. So in this case, some consumers cannot get nutrition from those fruits, because they have to either stop eating fruits or buy some other cheaper food to substitute fruits. So it's not good, because from the social development perspective, we are trying to maximize the social well-being of every consumer and every producer, rather than a small group of consumers. That's why in some countries, the government trying to control the price of the goods in that country. Otherwise, not everyone can afford it. So here, this is the strategies to reduce the impact of food price changes. The first one is replace branded items with cheaper non-branded items. And the second one is shop at different places. For example, discount supermarkets or normal market. The third one is compare prices and shop around to find the cheapest items, and try different cooking methods that work well with the cheaper cuts of meat, and grow own food. And buy grow own food, buy items from reduced food else's, and purchase different types of food. So because increasing price of food is not good, we should try to different ways to reduce food. So for example, if the price of product A is high, and the consumer is trying to buy lower food with lower prices, and the demand for the expensive one will be reduced, and then the market power will help to reduce the price of that product. So for example, previously all of you like to eat apples every day. However, the price of apple has been increasing, and you cannot afford it. In this case, you switch to buy pears or orange or grapes. So in this case, the demand for apple will reduce. In this case, the market power will help reduce the price of apple, and then more people can afford it. And the final part is the price control. So we have two types of price controls: ceiling price and floor price. Floor price is also called base price. I hope we can finish these slides before I go home. No, it's already 4:30. Yeah, I think let me finish it because currently my friend is helping me to look after Felix today. Felix is my son's name. Let's quickly look at the slides, and then I can go home. Okay, so price controls are legal restrictions on how high or low a market price may go. So for example, in university canteen, do you have a university canteen? Yeah, canteen, C-A-T-E-E-N, canteen. So normally for university canteens, the price of the foods are regulated or controlled by the university. They cannot ask those food suppliers to set a very high price. So they have the price ceiling. So price ceiling is the maximum price sellers are allowed to charge for a good. It's an upper limit for the price. So for example, if you buy a course of fish, so I know in Indonesia, people can eat fish every day. So if you buy a course of a fish, it costs 10 rupees in restaurant. However, in university canteen, because of price ceiling, they can only sell it at 6 rupees. Because university regulates the price, they cannot allow the price of dishes as high as a restaurant. So what is the price floor? Minimum price buyers are required to pay for a good is a lower limit for the price. So why price controls? During crisis times, enterprise emergencies or wars, the government wants to protect the consumers from rapidly increasing prices. If the equilibrium wage given by supply and demand for low-skilled workers is below poverty level, the government can set a minimum price. Okay, so let's look at the price ceiling. So this is the market equilibrium for a product. The price is 3, and the quantity of demanded and supplied is 200. So here we set a price ceiling. Price ceiling is a price that is lower than market equilibrium price. That's why I say, for example, in the restaurant, if you buy an apple, the price is 3 rupees. I mean, suppose you can buy apple from a restaurant or from a shop. And because of price ceiling on campus, if you buy it in the shop in university, you can only use 2 rupees to buy the apple because they set the price ceiling. The highest price for apple in the university shop is 2, but in the market, in the shop, in the street, that is 3 outside. So because of these ceilings, we are forced with a shortage. The shortage will lead to inefficiencies. A market or economy is inefficient if there are missed opportunities. Some people could be made better off without making other people worse off. Let's take a look at the different possibilities in efficiencies. Inefficient allocation to consumers and wasted resources, inefficiently lower quality in the blank markets. So we say, although price ceilings or price floor can help a group of people, this will increase the inefficiencies. So price ceilings can lead to inefficiencies in the form of inefficient allocation to consumers. People who really want the good and are willing to pay a higher price don't get it, and those who are not so interested in the good and are only willing to pay a low price do get it. Rent control. For example, in such cases, people get the apartment usually through luck or personal connections because the price ceiling will create shortage. So when there is a shortage, the market inefficiency will occur. The second type is the wasted resources. Price ceilings typically lead to inefficiencies in the form of wasted resources. People spend money, time, and expected effort in order to deal with the shortage caused by the price ceiling. And inefficiently low quality price ceiling often lead to inefficiencies in that the goods being offered are of inefficiently low quality. In case of rent controls, the landlords will not improve the conditions of the apartments. There is no incentive since the rental fee is low, but the main reason is that since there is a shortage, people are willing to rent the apartment as it is, even in bad condition. So in general, we can say that price ceiling will lead to shortage of the good, which will increase market inefficiency. A black market is a market in which goods and or services are bought and sold illegally, either because it is illegal to sell them at all or because the price charged are legally prohibited by a price ceiling. So you can look at the example by yourself. Now let's look at the price floor. Price floor is the minimum price buyers are required to pay for a good. It's a lower limit for the price. The minimum wage is a legal floor on the wage rate, which is the market price of the good. Okay, so we can see the price floor is higher than market equilibrium price, and the price ceiling is lower than the market equilibrium price. So in some countries, they require the minimum wage. So for example, 3 is the minimum wage determined by the market. However, in some countries, they determine the minimum wage, which is higher than the market determined minimum wage. So that is the price floor. So price floor will create a surplus of a product. So why a price floor causes inefficiency? Because price floor leads to inefficient allocation of sales among sellers. Those who would be willing to sell the good at the lowest price are not always those who actually manage to sell it. And it will also leads to inefficiently high quality and quantity. Price floor often leads to inefficiency in that goods of efficiently high quality are offered. Sellers often offer high quality goods at a higher price, even though buyers would prefer a low quality at a lower price. And the seller offers more quantity than is demanded, and we are left with a surplus. So here we can say no matter price ceiling or price floor, they will lead to market inefficiency, because price ceiling is a price set below the equilibrium market equilibrium price, and the price floor is a price set higher than the market equilibrium price. So because only under market equilibrium, market is efficient. Because market floor or price floor or price ceiling will create surplus or shortage, which will increase the market efficiencies. I think that's all for today, and I don't think I can take questions. I need to go home now because my friend is looking after my son, and I need to go home immediately now. And my son got a fever today.
Okay, it's okay, Dr. Walima. Thank you very much for your nice presentation. It's really complete material that you have been provided to us. For the Q&A, I think we can handle it. Our student will discuss with Novi and me for the Q&A section. I
Yeah.
think we can continue for the last session. Emily is closing for the closing session. I'm the moderator. Thank you very much for the opportunity today. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and bye-bye. See you, Dr.
Okay,
Rahima
bye-bye.
and
See you
all.
Thank
next.
you very
See you
much.
next time during the academic presentation. Okay,
See you.
bye-bye.
Terima kasih ya semuanya, kita foto bersama dulu yuk. Buka. Open, Mbak, open. Tolong. Thank you very much for all of the attendees. Mr. Sotik as the moderator. We are going to have a photo together. And don't forget that this Saturday on 16th of September, we are going to have the new workshop held by Dr. Wang Linma. First of all, he is going to give the lectures on online selling and how it affects the agricultural commodities market. And the second one, things that is very important and needed by everyone, that is how to publish in a Scopus Index journal. All right, now let's take picture together. Please turn on your camera. Giga. Tina. All right. Okay, bagus. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now, please smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Thank you very much and have a nice day. See you later on the Saturday. Bye-bye.
谢谢。